The Fat Kids against Flashback. Wind has died down just a hair out here. Still pushing out on this diamond to right field. And I don't know why my scoreboard didn't put the names on there, but we'll correct it for you. So we hope you're enjoying the coverage here early in the 2024 North-South Challenge run by Dan Atkins. And of course, the second stop in our Chicago Summer Series after the Westchester TLC. We are at Olympic Park in Schaumburg, Illinois, leading off Jason Camarillo.
22.
Still got to get this lineup card situated. And Jason, a little scoop job to the short center, picked up play made by Steph McLaren. So, a little unusual here for Flashback. They've got Joe Piscitelli, who's one of the best shortstops in the game. And they picked up Joey Agardo. They were going to move Joe to third base. Then it looked like they were going to put him up the middle, but they've got Steph McLaren up there. And there's a swing and a ground ball to Stacy, slight bobble, but he throws across in time.
Come on, Nose, put us on your back, Nose.
So Alberto Magana grounds out and it brings up Anthony Mysek. Note. I'm not quite sure when my scoreboard isn't showing up, but we'll get that squared away here. The Notes fouls that out over the top of this. And there it is. So, how we can settle it. So anyways, we showed you a little bonus coverage, and this should be a fun ball game. Flashback, of course, won the TOC, the first stop, in the SSA Chicago Summer Series. Of course, they're defending no-glove champs. Very storied franchise for those of you tuning in from around the company and maybe finding us for the first time. And the Fat Kids always well dressed, I'll give them that. They got these new uniforms that look like Chicago Blackhawk uniforms. So we got a little fashion matching shorts. There you go, and that is not the kid they traded away after the one cup. Can't remember his name. And Note swings and he drives it way back. Left fielder got turned around, but Ryan Russ stays with it and makes a catch. Again, these are big outfields. 300 feet all the way around, a lot of grass.
Hey, gotta hold on now. We gotta serve up.
A little smaller foul territory on this diamond. Anything that bounces over, through, or under the fence will be a ground rule triple. And we have Flash with the normal lineup coming up. Brian Kearns, Danny Dispenza, Joe Piscitelli. Of course, Joe Rosamond officer. And he's missed a few games, but he's out here. Flashback, big debate out here is who's got the better roster, top to bottom, Flashback or Circus. If you were a guy and they said, which team do you want to manage? It'd be a hard decision. So here's Brian Kearns. Again, those of you new to us, this is Chicago's 16-inch style softball. It's not a mush ball. It's a relatively firm ball, 60-foot bases, leadoff can't steal. 38 from the pitching rubber to the point of home plate. We'll cover some more rules right after this swing. Open count. 6-12 on the arc. And there's a little fly ball toward the gap, and he beats him. Brian Kearns likes to slap and hit little ground balls, and he's still, for an older guy, about 38, runs pretty good. Lead-off home run for Brian Kearns. And again, even if you don't think a guy's got pop on a light day like today, winds really calm down, much calmer. Much calmer. And so as a result of that, you still can't cheat these guys. And here's Danny Dispenza, early 1-0 lead. And that ball really wasn't hit that far. And Dispenza, line drive, snagged by the shortstop, climbs the ladder and takes a potential hit away from Danny Dispenza. So Tom Boyle, who we highlighted on an interview earlier this week, continuing his fine play. Here's Joe Piscitelli. Joe, a terrific player, spent a lot of time with Signature. We first saw Joe, I believe, on the Yep team that won a Class A, and there's a fly ball to right, handled by the right fielder. So good job out there as he stayed with it. That ball was kind of fading on him. So Alberto made that play. And that's going to bring up Mike Manzella, another guy off to a great start in the summer series. And I'm not sure what's going on. Little ground ball. Tom Boyle just gets him at first. And so second out of the inning, and it brings up Justin Smykowski. Oh, take it back. He was safe. I think Fat Kids thought he was out. And here's Justin Smykowski. So they were not going to attack the umpire, for those of you tuning in. They just thought it was a third out. And that brings up Smykowski. Had a little shoulder problem. It looks like he might be over it. And Justin hits a little knuckleball and can't make the catch, and he kicked it toward right field. Justin Chernin, now they hold him up. Second run of the inning for flashback. And I think that was a situation where they're trying to save Justin a little abuse and sliding. Brings up Joey Agarto. Joey normally the two-hitter, but he's coming off a quad injury. Looked okay the other night out in Melrose. Looked fluid. Didn't look like his leg was bothering him. Pitcher also gets a drag step. I failed to mention that. One step right, left, or back. Two fakes or hesitation, third arm action home. Throw or a fake to a base is one of your fakes or hesitations, and Joey Agardo slaps it to center, and coming in and making it look easy was Brandon Molina. So at the end of an inning, 2-0 flashback. And, you know, it's always interesting when you see one of the bigger teams get upset. That tends to wake the other big teams up, and they don't want to go down that path. And I'm not sure what's going on here. Oh, yeah, that's the dead field. They got 5 diamonds. I'm looking over here, folks, and I'm like, why is there not a game over there? But then I realized they got 5 diamonds out here, and we're only using 4. So I think over the weekend, depending on if they have soccer, for you teams that are playing over the weekend, you can see they got a lot of lit soccer fields. And if there's no soccer, you will be able to hit there before your games. And here's Matt Peckus leading off. And so you'll also be able to hit on the diamond that is not being used. So Matt Peckus, first year, I believe, with the Fat Kids. And
Matt's been kind of climbing the ladder. He wanted to start playing in, more bigger events, and he wanted to, expand himself in that context. And he's done a good job. He does hit the ball pretty hard. So, and again, now if you're the fat kids, you can't really worry about. And there's a swing. Handcuff Joe Yagardo. We don't see that very often. And Matt Peckus gets himself a base hit. So that brings up the center fielder, Brandon Molina. And Brandon, a very solid player, a very competitive kid. Covers a lot of ground in center. And there's a rocket fair just inside the third baseline. Ryan Russ got to it in a hurry, prevented Matt Peckus from getting to third. So Fat Kids coming right out of the gate here and putting a little pressure on Flashback here in the top of the second. And it's going to bring up Emilio Engel, the left fielder. So the big news, of course, if you didn't see the bonus coverage at the end of the Shooter Menace game, was a young Impact team springing an upset 13-11 over Hex. And there's a swing and a base hit. One run is going to score. It rolls into the alley. Molina's going to score. And Emilio Engel ties the game up with a double into the left center field alley. So that's a nice job. As he drove it into the alley for a split second, it looked like it was going to maybe roll even further. And that's going to bring up Nick Jones. And I got to say it, he played on Mudville. So that's 2 for the weekend if you're keeping track. Had somebody tell me that they were creating a consumption game. Moji looks him back, throws it back. Oh, you want to know something? Molina didn't score. I see he's still over there at third, so it's 2-1. Could have sworn Molina was turning around that corner. He would have scored. I don't even think they were going to throw the ball home there. So it brings up the pitcher, Angelo Feliciano, and he just slaps it over to second. He gets one in, gets one over, and now we are tied at 2.
Hey, base it now, stay level.
And that's kind of, sometimes you got to take a chance. Flash is not a team that will make unnecessary throws. I thought Molina could have scored on the base hit. I don't think Emilio would have got to third on the play. But if he already scores, then Angelo Feliciano's thought process changes. Then at that point, he's looking to get a hit. And there's a line drive going back is Smykowski, and he reaches up and he makes the catch. But Fat Kids, top of the second, they come back and they tie the game. We head to the bottom of the second, 2-2. I love it. Symmetry, 2-2 in the 2. Yeah, Brady, I think he might have had to take a Uber to get back from Iowa. We were in Urbandale. I won't name the player, but he had one of those things on his car where you have to blow in order to have the car start. And couldn't get the car to start Sunday night when the tournament ended, and we're taking the banners down on Labor Day, and we see him there, and we're like, hey, what's up? What are you doing here? And he's like, well, I got to blow to have the car start, and I just blew and it wouldn't start. So he was hanging out with us, chit-chatting with us, and when we finished taking the banners down, well, Jose, you can rewind the tape, as I like to say. It was bang, bang, depending on who you talk to. So here's Julian Gutierrez. So when we left that day in Urbandale, he blew again, and the car still wouldn't start. So I'm not sure how long he had to wait until that thing would let him go home. So here's Julian Gutierrez. High pop-up. Brandon Molina took a step back but came in. And that was a weird thing. I didn't check the lights, but he looked up at the lights and he put his hand up. And you see they got this light tower right there, and they got another one over here. So that's something we got to take a look at as the tournament goes on. So here's Anthony Stacy. Ryan Russ on deck. So when are you coming in, Brady? I'm a little surprised there's no Hall of Fame guys walking around. Usually a handful of them will come in early, and Stacy pounds it into center. Molina on it quick. Good throw to second. They keep Stacy to a base hit.
One out, Stace. One out.
I know that Hall of Fame team, they usually like to get in early because they like to check the complex out, and they'll take a little batting practice earlier in the day.
One out, Andy.
Okay. Yeah, it's always hard when you travel and you only got a couple of hours to kind of get out of a car and move around a little bit.
Calling it both ways.
Let's go. Come on now.
Angelo tried to flip that up there. Here's Ryan Russ. He slaps a single toward the alley. Stacy will get to third. Molina's showing you he's got a good, accurate arm. Hit the cutoff, man. Runners on the corners here. One out.
What's that? I'm talking to my team, that's all.
So we're in the bottom of the second. 2-2 ball game. Flash runners on the corner. One out here, and here comes Zawoski. John started out on that OBI team. Played with, I think he was on there when it was Feta. Played a year or two with Hex, I believe.
Hey, relax! What the fucking league? I know what I'm doing. Relax, kid. Relax.
And Angelo, we talk all the time. There are guys that'll never try to pick you off. Angelo constantly tries to pick you off. And there's a little soft flare, and they'll throw it into second, but the third run does score. And you saw that pickoff right in our living room. Angelo's got a rubber arm. And there's a strike, Steph McLaren.
You're good.
Be ready, boys.
Steph actually, I believe. And there's a long drive. He turns and burns. He beats him right down the right field line. One run is in. McLaren is turning. They're going to send him. 2-run homers. Steph McLaren went large into the gap. 5-2. Flashback. And again, at field level, it doesn't feel like it's blowing. but we got this tree down the left field line, and the top of that tree is still blowing pretty good up there. And he just turned and drilled it straight as an arrow down the right field line. He probably hit that about 265, maybe 270, and it rolled all the way to the screen. And here's Mike Marasovic. And Mike tries to muscle up, but too far. Nice sliding catch there by the left fielder, Emilio Engel. So we're going to head to the top of the third, 5-2 flash. And again, Fat Kid's not doing anything wrong. Flash just hitting the ball. And they've been known to do that. So, again, I think as this flashback team gets a few more innings now that Joey Agardo's back, I don't know if Mike Myers is here on the bench, but and the rumor is they might be missing one of these guys during the weekend. I do see Shane and Denny Lawler on the flashback bench. So there's a swing and another base hit. And this is going to be close. Steph can't handle it. Tom Boyle came out hitting, stays hot, leads off with a base hit. Oh, okay. Thanks, Wags. I didn't know he broke his finger. Yeah, Vito not here. But don't cry for them. They got plenty. So here's the leadoff man. Tom Boyle leads off with a double. Brings up Jason Camarillo. Tries to sweep the right field line. Again, Jason, that ball was a little outside. He kind of lunged at it. And by that time, his footwork was a little messed up. That ball, no chance. Barrel was pointed straight down onto the ground, a little inside out. You get that spin. Add in the fact that you got a breeze, and that ball really tailed. And there he tries to go through the hole, but Joe Pish is there. He does move the runner over to third, and it brings up Alberto. So here's a case where you don't want him just to give himself up to get a run, but you want him to understand the fact that the one thing he can't do here is hit a line drive right at an infielder. You know, either elevate and drive the ball, or you can hit a ground ball and you'll get the run in. And wild throw by McLaren. And the Fat Kids now push that run across, still only one out. Steph got to that ball pretty good, but kind of his arm angle, he dropped down sidearm. And that arm was really lagging. He threw a screwball over here. And here's Anthony Mysek, long fly out to left. And now he walks the dog into right field. Throw to third. And now Stacy can't handle it, and Noach. Again, that was a little bit of a wild throw there by the right fielder, Dispenza. Joey Agardo tried to deke Noach coming over like he was going to cut it off. They got the ball and ended up throwing it to third. Stacy couldn't handle it.
Right behind
and Noach takes a base. And, you know, I hate when you give up real estate. So here's Matt Peckus. Second and third now. Still only one out here, and the Fat Kids with a 2-for-1 here, chance to tie the game up.
Hey, that's the same thing right there, man. Come on.
Stay in it.
Go. Come on, man.
So the Fat Kids a little upset. They feel like Tommy Cale's got a very long strike zone. And Peckus smokes the ball. No one's getting to that. That's going to roll to the screen. We're tied. Peckus is going to get to third. Courtesy throw by Joey Agardo. Peckus's first at bat, he made Ryan Russ go to the gap. That time he put a little extra on it, and there was no chance anybody was going to get to that ball. We're all tied at 5. Still only one out. And here's Brandon Molina.
Hey, next guy gets the bat for him. Next guy gets the bat for him.
So Matt Peckus, we told you he was improving in his game. Yeah, well, Matt's a good, solid player. He showed you on some of the teams he was on before he got here that he had that ability. And he's a real focused kid when you talk to him and you see him. And he leaned on that pretty good. So here's Molina, and he hits a towering fly ball, and that should be enough. Ryan Russ. So Fat Kids take their first lead of the game at 6-5. So they're not intimidated by the Columbia blue and black here, as they've come out and they're hitting the ball very hard. So here's Emilio, got a big hit earlier in the game to drive in a run. So we were talking on the preview show yesterday, and there's a little flare, and that's going to go foul. And the interesting thing about it, we talked about how Chuck's looks like a football team, and Hall of Fame did not. We made a comment that now we need a hockey team, and this might be it with these uniforms. So here's Emilio now. We'll see what he does here after he fouled that off. Now he fouls another pitch off for 2 strikes. So now Emilio's job is to put the ball between the white lines and get that 7th run. Because when you're playing a team like Flashback, and if you want to spring an upset, you just can't leave runs on the table. Nick Jones on deck, but you'd like to see Emilio, and there's that heavy pitch. Moj hoping the hitter was going to be anxious, but it goes back to what I always say, sometimes pitchers, when they waste pitches. And Emilio gets a base hit. Oh, I take it back. There was nobody out there.
Nick, your turn.
So here's Nick Jones, 1 out. And Nick is another kid. He's got a lot of swings.
Good here.
He can push it to right field. He can pull. And there he took the step, but a little too late. Never really got his feet squared away. Ended up just pushing that ball with his hands. Didn't really swing through it.
Nope. Yep. Got to open it up.
Go, Nick.
What's up, Travis? How you feeling, buddy? And Nick Jones, high fly ball, Ryan Russell gobbled it up. But Fat Kids lead 6-5 as we head to the bottom of the Junior. Third inning? Bottom three. I got a comment. You're wearing an old timer shirt. Rest in peace.
You might like it, softball. Hey, right back. Let's go.
So I always crack up when I see, a lot of times at these tournaments, people swap gear. Used to be a tradition at the major national championship tournament every year. Everybody would go and try to trade for a jersey that they liked on another team. The year I pulled the plug on Mudville before I went to Flash in 2009 in Marshalltown, which some of you may not know, one of the nicknames for Marshalltown is Mudville. So here's Brian Kearns, and I had a lot of people because we had the big guy Casey at the bat logo, and a lot of people wanted to trade jerseys, and I didn't even trade. I just gave them to people. And there's a Tom Boyle, can't make the catch. Big turn by Kearns, but he goes back. And you might have heard Jason Camarillo was letting Noach and Tom Boyle know that Kearns took a big lead. And Jason Camarillo is limping on that right knee. Here's Danny Dispenza now. So Flash trailing 6-5 here, trying to get something going. And Dispenza pounds it up the middle. Kearns is going to get there easy, and Dispenza gets all the way to second. And kids, make sure you pay attention. Danny was thinking 2 all the way. He knew Kearns was going to get the third.
Nobody, Danny.
And now that's going to bring up Joe Piscitelli. So flashback set up here to tie the game and maybe take the lead.
Deep over here, line through.
I think flashback is upset thinking Angelo didn't present the ball. And Angelo would, he'll work fast.
Nothing past you guys, nothing past you.
Come on, Joe. Come on, Joe.
So here's Joe Pish.
Joey.
And now Angie comes back. Now one of the things he'll do on occasion, if he gets ahead of you 2 strikes, he'll throw it hard behind your head and try to hit your bat. Joe Pish, Tom Boyle with a nice snag. Dispenza could not advance, but a great play there by the shortstop. As that ball looked like it was going to get through, Tom Boyle extended at the last minute, got a big hop and snagged it.
1 out, 1.
Yeah, Pops, you got to really control your at-bat. And, Moji works fast, but he does present the ball. And here's Mike Manzella, 1 out, runner on second. And he goes the other way, and that's going to be out of play. But as a hitter, you got to control your at-bat. And I think when you know a guy has that tendency, if you have stepped out of the box, just put your hand up and tell the umpire you want to get settled in. Because some of these guys will really take advantage of that. And they'll try to speed you up in the batter's box because we are playing underhand. And a lot of these guys are pretty crafty when it comes to trying to find creative ways. And here's Mike Manzella. And, you never want to get sped up if you can avoid it. And Mike goes hard to right center. No one's getting that ball. It's going to roll over there. Right fielder Alberto got to it. It's going to be a triple for Manzella, and he puts flashback back on top, 7-6. Still only 1 out.
1 out, Jay.
Justin Smykowski now And I'm going to step off of this line. He's got a look in his eye like he might be looking to turn and burn. And Justin goes right up the middle off the pitcher. Another run scores. Another flash guy just running hard out of the box.
Hey, wait a slide. And a boy, good hustle. Iggy.
And flashback goes up 8-6.
Justin.
Second run of the inning, still only one out, and here's Joey Agardo.
Come on, Iggy.
So Raider going to come out, try to slow things down a little bit. And Angelo was shaking that hand just a little bit.
Over here, Jay. Make sure it goes
But Jason Camarillo has definitely got a little hitch in his giddy up there. You see him, second baseman there. And I don't know if flashbacks noticed that, but
nowhere near you, Justin. Nowhere near you.
we'll see if that comes into play later in the game. And here's Joey Agardo. Joey was a co-MVP last year with Moji at the No Glove. Came over from Chicago Dynasty.
Come on, Joe. Whoa.
And there's a swing, and he gets it over the top of Jason. And Smykowski scores easily. So after the game got tied, in the top of the third, flashback's thrown 3 out in the bottom of the third to reclaim the lead.
Go, boys, let's go.
Well, with 1 out Melody and with this lineup, you know, you don't need to take those kind of chances because, you know, when you look at Flash, Circus, 45s, you know, Chucks, you know, Hall of Fame, Signature, they can start innings anywhere throughout their lineup. And so as a result, when you got this many good hitters, you don't necessarily have to take as many chances because everybody's capable. Little fly ball, Emilio makes that play for out number 2. And you know, as a manager, this kid right in the middle of your screen is so important for the ball club that you almost don't want him to try to tag there because you don't want him getting hurt until he gets a few more games under his belt with that quad that just healed. So here comes Anthony Stacy. And Anthony tried to go big, yanked it way out of play. So, yeah, these uniforms are cracking me up, man. Got to say one thing, man. The fat kids are creative. So, Anthony Stacy played on Thunder. Then he left them. Eventually worked his way over here. And there's a base hit. Joey Agardo just kind of working. Now the ball gets bobbled. That allows Joey to score. Stacy kept himself active, so he was able to jog into second base there as the ball took a funny hop on Emilio out there. And here's Ryan Russ. So the fat kid's right now looking for a Band-Aid to stop the bleeding here a little bit.
All right, stay hot.
There's a high pop-up. Well, I got to tell you, I put the Maluk on a couple of good hitters in that shooters game.
2 outs, Anthony.
So it comes and goes. It comes and goes. So here's Ryan Russ, reset. Ground ball to Boyle, and he rushed himself.
Hey, right now, go.
Runners on the corners. Tom Boyle had a lot of time. he went over and got the ball, and ball took a weird hop on him. And I think in his internal clock, he didn't think he had that much time because Ryan runs well. But he was so short in the baseline, he had plenty of time there, and he just tried to throw the ball kind of off balance. I think what the fat kids are talking about is whether Anthony Stacy running past Boyle, whether he made any type of action to deliberately try to interfere with him trying to catch the ball. So here's John Zawoski.
Get off, Ryan. Get off. I'll let you know. I got the first baseman. Pretty good.
And Zawoski over to Jason Camarillo. Little underhand flip will go to the top of the fourth, 10-6. So that's a big out there as they get out of it. And again, when you play some of these teams, you got to understand they're going to score runs. Your job is to hit with them. And the Fat Kids have been okay defensively. Flash has just hit some good balls. They've been known to do that. So it's going to be Angelo Feliciano, Mike Cruz, the first baseman, and then Tom Boyle, the shortstop.
Hey, out here now. What the heck, ball?
No, Wayne, it is not soft. It is a 16-inch clincher and goes by various names. Some people call it big ball, but it's a 16-inch clincher. It's very firm out of the box. It will maintain its consistency, especially when we play on AstroTurf. And it's not as hard as a 12-inch or a baseball, but it isn't a 14-inch mush ball either. Well, that's a good question. There's a ground ball up the middle, bobbled by Smykowski, who's come in to play short center. And they have taken Steph McLaren off of the infield. He's probably going to slide into the extra hitter role as Brian Kearns is in center now. So here's the first baseman, Mike Cruz. So leadoff man on here for the Fat Kids. Well, I don't know how soft it gets, Pops. I mean, I don't, for some of us old timers, this ball is nowhere near as hard as the old clinchers from the 80s and 90s that had the big, fat, ugly seams on them. That ball would tear you up.
Hey, gotta be you, Mike. Gotta be you, Mike.
Gotta love it. Let's go. You gotta love it.
So, and there's a dreaded walk. So trailing by 4, the Fat Kids put the first 2 runners on for Tom Boyle. And they got a little soft. Well, that China ball stayed pretty hard, but that was more recent. That was around 2008, 2012, 13 or so. That was a terrific ball to play with. Problem with the old clinchers were they were rock hard. By the 7th, they would get a little soft, and the covers on a lot of times, because of the inconsistency on the seams, could get a little loose. But the real problem was it was horsehide. And there's a high pop-up, long run. Ryan Russ gets there for the first out. So here comes the top of the lineup with Jason Camarillo. And so when you played on a day when there was dew on the grass, or if it was a damp day because maybe you had some rain, that ball would weigh about 10 pounds in the 3rd inning. And then it was like hitting a bowling ball. This cover is pretty much water resistant. Camarillo sweeps one in front of Dispenza. Throw at second, not in time. And the bases are loaded. So you could see Joe Pish was deep. Danny Dispenza was not that deep either, but he just couldn't get there. So the bases are loaded. And here comes Alberto. Bases loaded. Fat Kid's trying to crawl back into this, trailing by 4. And there's a rocket foul, though. Ryan Russ, though, makes the catch. That was actually fair now, judging by where he caught it. So Alberto hit it hard, but he couldn't get it to a gap. He tried to go down the line, and Ryan Russ tracked it down. So we got a 10-7 game. Now Jason hobbling around here. So chances are he isn't not going to score on a base hit, and it brings up Anthony Mysek. And, you know, I think Noach is a better hitter when he goes toward right center. And I know they'd like to get Matt Peckus up this inning. And there's a hard ground ball. They will not get. Oh, there were 2 outs. That's right. Ryan caught that ball. So I'd like to see Noach go back the other way. I believe we're in the bottom of the 4th. And, you know, I just think Noach is a more efficient hitter. He's got kind of a long swing, and he doesn't have as fast a hips as a lot of guys. So when he tries to pull, he doesn't necessarily clear the hips to bring the bat through. But when he goes to right field and he commits to it, that's a swing where he's more stepping into the ball versus trying to open up and hit. And I think that's why he's a little better hitter when he goes the other way. So here's Steph McLaren. And Steph tries to go the other way. Right there on the spot is Emilio, the left fielder, and he puts it away. So Fat Kid's just kind of hanging around here a little over halfway through this one. So coming in here to pinch hit for Mike Marasovic, as I see Flashback is hitting 12 tonight. And you can't do that in this tournament. You cannot do that in a national championship tournament, but Danny Atkins is allowing it here. And here is Shane Lawler. And Shane hits a ground ball through that hole, base hit. And he leads off with a hit. 1 out single here. Again, Shane for many years is just kind of focused on going opposite the short center. He really doesn't go between the third baseman and the shortstop very much. So if you're going to put your short center on the right field side, your shortstop's got to shift with him. Here's Brian Kearns, and he'll flare that down the line, and Emilio makes the catch, but he just throws to second, out number 2. And I think that's, you know, part of the problem. You got to understand what guys do. Shane is right center to left center, and he keys off at a short center, and he looks at that hole between the short center, shortstop, short center, second baseman. Here's Danny Dispenza. And back in the day, and Dispenza just hits a Humpty. Lawler will get to third. Runners on the corners with 2 outs. And it brings up Joe Piscitelli. You know, back in the day, after teams got done, they used to hang out, and they used to really pay attention to who was coming up in the tournament and even at league play, but now everybody's got bars and they take off, and
You're good. Right on you, Danny.
sometimes in tournament play. And there's a little ground ball, long throw across in time, and we'll head now to the top of the fifth, 10-7. Fat Kids hanging around. Again, we are live from Olympic Park out in Schaumburg for the 2024 North-South Challenge presented by Danny Atkins, our second stop in the Chicago Summer Series. And appreciate all the good feedback we've been getting on the Summer Series. We thought it would generate interest, and it certainly has. And here comes Matt Peckus. Big 2-run triple his last time up on an absolute bomb. So yeah, we've talked about that. 1/4 of the bracket, 6 of probably the top 10 teams in softball in it, going to be squaring off tomorrow. 4 of them will be in the losers bracket at the end of the night. So if you don't got anything to do, make the trip. Get out here. It's going to be exciting softball. Peckus slaps it to third. Stacy, long throw in time for the first out. So here comes Brandon Molina with Emilio Engel on deck. And Molina swings, hard ground ball, kicked up a little bit on Smykowski. And Brandon hustling down the line finds himself on base. So here's Emilio. And the Fat Kids are doing what you got to do here. They're hanging around. They can get a run or two here and make it a 1-run game. Now the drawback is they don't have the hammer. And there's a little pop-up. Stacy chases it, runs out of real estate. A couple of fans down there tossing the ball in. So that's what you want to do sometimes, you know, when you're just hang around in a ball game. You know, and the Fat Kids have done a nice job. They've stayed calm despite the fact that, you know, they were trailing early. And Moji knocks it down. And he makes the play at first. And I don't know if he knocked it down or if it hit his shin first. But it's a moot point. He got the out. And now this becomes a big out here because you got 2 outs, and again you got a run out there. And it's just critical if you want to pull an upset that you score runs that you can score. Well, Melanie, this weekend we are in Schaumburg, Illinois, northwest suburb of the city of Chicago. And there's a swing and a base hit. Nick Jones drives in the run. And if you're listening to the broadcast, I'll remind you, please don't text. Nick, really? Really? I always kid Nick. He had a crazy work schedule when he was on Mudville. Here's Anthony Feliciano, and he missed a lot of games. And Angelo, a little overhand cut. That's going to drop. Nick is cruising. Ryan Russ gets it in. Runners on the corner. Brings up the first baseman, Mike Cruz now. Again, 2 outs. And right now, you know, you're trying to get that run, and they're doing exactly what they're trying to do. I think they thought about maybe if they were going to pinch run, but they got to worry, too, about Jason Camarillo's knee. So looks like they maybe only have one guy on the bench. So they don't want to waste it here. Because Flash's outfield is very good at getting the ball in. So unless it's a really long stretch single, and unless you're really fast, and he takes the walk, now they're loaded. And it brings up Tom Boyle.
Keep working, Tom. Keep working. Let's go.
And now Jeff Hernandez, one of the best of all time, is going to come out. And I think he's just doing it to slow Moji down a little bit. Because Moji does work fast, and sometimes when you're kind of losing the feel of it, and all pitchers do at some point. And this is a good move here by the Fat Kids. You know, you got a defensive conference, so they pulled their guys in. Now, if you're the Fat Kids, you want to get back to the bases so they don't charge you with an offensive conference. So Tom Boyle with the bases loaded. Thought the bases were loaded. No, runners on the court. Yeah, they are. Couldn't see Ansel. He got the dart. He's the only Fat Kid guy not wearing the cool Fat Kid shirt. So here's Tom Boyle. Tom, a little ground ball to Joey Agardo. Long throw in time. So we head to the bottom of the inning. And there you can see Tom Boyle, a little anxious. I think, you know, they slowed the game down and they made Boyle wait. Bottom five. They made Boyle wait as well as slowing the game down. And he swung at the first thing he saw. And that's something you got to learn as a hitter. Have an idea or a plan. Then wait till you get the pitch to execute it on. But 10-8 ball game here. Fat Kids hanging around. It's going to be Mike Manzella, Justin Smykowski, and Joey Agardo, 4, 5, 6 for Flash. And this is a pretty good, important inning here. If you can find a way to go 1, 2, 3, you might buy yourself a little time. As good as Flash's lineup is, at least you'd be toward the bottom of it, heading into the bottom of the sixth, and give yourself a chance, because Fat Kids will have the top of their lineup in the top of the sixth. Randy, big upset. Impact over Hex, 13-11. And there's a ground ball the other way. Notes, long throw. And hustling down the line, the lefty, Mike Manzella, beats it out. Again, sometimes with left-handed hitters, you got to take that into account. You can't play everybody at the same depth. And here's Justin Smykowski, even Junior telling me, but he goes the other way. Fair ball down the line. Manzella will get to third. Smykowski walks the dog down the right field line. Flashback comes out and puts their first two runners on.
Deep over here, Justin. Liner's through.
So Fat Kids had a golden chance to really climb into this game. They may have woken Flashback up a little bit as they put their first two runners on. And Joey Agardo just slapped it, and he gets the bonus as Camarillo. He had a long way to go, and we told you with that leg. Looked like Jason was struggling to get to that ball. And Joey Agardo on base now. Runners on the corner. Nobody out still. 11-8. And here's Julian Gutierrez.
Deep over there, make sure it goes through. You're going to get the third. You're deep.
And right now, I think, with Jason kind of struggling on that knee, and they're playing the short center on the left field side of the bag, that's just way too much ground, then he's going to be able to cover. Now, Julian, you know, we've talked in the past when he was with Smack Out, he was just yanking everything hard in the right center. He's expanded his game since. And there he just goes up the middle. Just way too much territory there. Another run does score for Flashback, and they reclaim that 4-run lead they had, 12-8. It's really tough to come to a tournament with, say, 10 or 11 guys only. And that's why some of these major teams, here's Stacy, pops it up the elevator shaft. Brandon Molina and Joey Agardo
Hey, way to get it in.
still kind of working his way back, wasn't going to take a chance. That's the first out of the inning. Here's Ryan Ross. So now if you're the Fat Kids, even though Flash has scored a pair, if Angelo can induce a ground ball, you might have a chance to get a double play. Now Ryan is very fast, so would have to be a snappy double play. And here's where if you're Mike Cruz at first, if they do try to spin, you can't wait on that umpire. So here's where you got to tell your first baseman, hey, on a double play, I'm going to turn and throw out or safe over here. And you can't rely on an umpire. You just assume he's going to call the guy safe, and you go through the motions. And Ryan dumps a hit into right center. It's going to score another run. Ryan Russ's second hit of the ball game.
That's all you got to do. 1 out. Go. Go.
So John Zawoski coming up. Same thing, because you got first and second. Can't wait on the umpire.
Too low. Watch your way. Too low.
And Zoe goes toward the gap, and that's going to drop.
John, slow down. Julian can't run.
1 run is in, 2 runs are in, and now Zawoski hesitates, and he is out at the plate. So that's risk and reward there. Second out, you don't want to make that at home. Once he kind of slowed down, Junior was trying to get him to slow down. He was running right up the behind of the base runner. We're in the bottom of the 5th, and Steph McLaren, that's a good way to get suspended. Hitting Gio. No, just kidding, folks. If I'm on the field, I'm fair game. But anyway, so he did whistle it by. Of course, Steph earlier in the game hit a bomb down the right field line. Now at ground level and even above the tree line, it's not blowing as much. Again, if this game does finish, or should Flash somehow get to the 10 mark, we will take a walk to the other side of the complex and see what's going on before we sign off. And there's another rocket, and you can see Jason just really struggling.
There you go, way to get it in.
Steph McLaren gets a hit. And now they hit for Mike Marasovic earlier with Shane Lawler. And so they're going to let Moji hit here, otherwise he would have to be removed from the game.
He's right on you. He's right on your stuff. Back.
You can see Angelo's pretty slick, but he does also have a reputation for trying to pick guys off, especially when Noach is over here, because they've been playing together forever. And they are related. And Moach is a good example. He'll take a lot of pitches.
There you go, there you go.
Look your left. Look your left.
And there's a little ground ball, and they'll take the easy out. But as we head to the top of the 6th, 15-8. So top of the 6th here, live from Olympic Park, somebody's hooting and hollering. Of course, Flashback, again, won the Westchester Tournament of Champions, our first stop in the Chicago Summer Series. We hope you like those player spotlight interviews. Unfortunately, yesterday with the interview, we had little technical problems with the Wi-Fi and the Bluetooth, and the microphone wasn't good when George Bliss was doing some of his interview. Of course, Mike Oliver, a man of few words, but another guy off to a good start in the Summer Series. So top of the Fat Kid lineup, it's getting late, and they really do need to push something across here. They need a crooked number. And they've had a couple innings where they had a chance, and that's going to be a ground ball. And that's out number one here in the top of the sixth. That's going to bring up Alberto with Anthony Misek on deck. So they are down 7, but a couple of hits here if you can get some base runners for Matt Peckus. He's capable of getting you back into the game a little bit. And we see one game has just ended. High Y was playing the shooters over there. I'm not quite sure who won. And there's a little slap, but Brian Kearns is there, and that's out number 2. So I got to believe this last inning when Flash threw up the fin is weighing a little bit on this fat kid's team. So here's Anthony Misek. Of course, Noach was originally with Impact, spent a couple of years here with Flashback. And there's a swing as he guides it. And Kearns, it looked like he's looking up at the light tower. We told you earlier in the game. And Noach getting a little crazy on the bases. But that was a better swing for Noach. That ball was slicing away from Kearns. Kearns, with his speed, almost overran it. And then he looked up, and right as he was about to catch it, he turned his head. And he's talking to Ryan Russ out there pointing at the light tower. So here's Matt Peckus with Brandon Molina on deck. So if anybody's got access to the Game Changer, pop on there. Give us an update on that High Y shooter game, which looks like it's over right now. And Peckus beats it in the ground, and Moji, little hot potato, makes the catch. So we'll go to the bottom of the 6th. Flash leading by 7. 3 runs here would end the ball game. And I do believe that 5 spot in the 5th took a little starch out of this fat kid club. They were hanging around, climbing that mountain, climbing the mountain the entire night. And I think that fin might have been the straw here. And it never ends with Flashback as you get out of one jam, and here they are with the top of the lineup, Brian Kearns.
Come on, BK.
Top guard, top.
So even should Flash somehow push 3 across, everybody will look and say, wow, that kid's lost by 10, but this was a 2-run game heading into the bottom of the 5th inning.
Come on, Brian.
And that's the one thing, you know, as a younger team, you need to learn to be relentless. And, you know, you can do nothing wrong. And sometimes these teams will just put a number on you, and that's why you got to just persevere. And there's Brian Kearns. And Kearns. So kids, that's what you got to do, man. You got to think like a major team. And major teams are always thinking double until your outfield picks it up, throws it in, and holds them. So, and Dispenza, that ball had weird English. Looked like a cue ball off the end of the bat. See how hard Danny Dispenza was running. He's like a guy out of the Flintstones, because when he runs, his feet really pound the ground. Kenny Caselica was like that. So here's Joe Piscitelli. Joe has the distinction of wearing the shortest shorts in softball.
Stay up, Emilio. Stay up over there.
I want to say that maybe that signature game is over too. Thought I saw Jeff Baytall walking down the line. I might have been mistaken. And Joe Pish drives it toward the gap. And that's going to score Dispenza as Joe Piscitelli strokes a hit.
Come on, man. Nobody, Joe.
Still nobody out here.
Come on, man. Like that.
So
Come on, man.
17-8. If Joe Piscitelli should score, the game will be over.
Come on, Mike. You're good.
And there's a rocket base hit. Pish is going to get to third. And that's a good example there. They threw the ball into second. And now if you're Justin Smykowski, a fly ball would end the ball game. I'm still going to get off this line a little bit. Protect me, June.
Goes better than
And they walk him. Woo! Junior said he knows better than to hit it at him. Junior, you would have dropped it and tried to get the double play. Junior notorious for that back in the game. On a cloudy day, the guy'd hit a pop-up and he'd act like, oh, he overswings there, and it's going to get out of play. So back in the day, on a cloudy day, on an infield pop-up, Junior would act like he lost it in the sun and drop it and try to con the umpire. Of course, the rule is if you can make catch with a reasonable effort. And he'd get a guy once in a while to bite on it. Umpires I'm talking about. But and there's a line drive deflected. Now they're going to come home, and they get the force out. Heads up play by Nick Jones. Ball got deflected. He caught it. I don't know if he hurt himself. He did not step on the bag and try to get a double play because there was nobody out. So he threw home. Bases still loaded. See Junior reminding his base runner, should Denny Lawler get a base hit, you must advance a base. I don't think there's two outs. And Denny smokes it foul, not by much. I think if it was fair, you got it, Mike. Mike didn't pick up on it, but I made the comment that had it been fair, I think Mike would have got a hand on it. Okay, 1 out. Now, Denny, not as fleet as he was in his outfield days, and they're going to get the fielder's choice again. So fat kids might have heard Denny Lawler say I was trying to drive it and I fell off. And of course, the misnomer here is everybody thinks they got to crush it. So now they need either a safe on an error or a base hit. Stacy, little ground ball to Noach, and flashback with the bases loaded, nobody out, could not score the 10th run. Fat kids make it to the 7th.
Hey, make it worth it. Let's go.
So Jason Camarillo making a joke saying, you know, good teams cover. The line was 9.5. So I'm going to tell you a funny story about that. One year, first year, we take Mudville to the No Glove. We had a Friday night game with Flash, not Flashback, Flash, which was the original name of the ball club. And all year we're playing Flash out in Clyde and what have you, and every game is one run. Flash is winning, but they're just these well-played, high-energy one-run games. So some guy I never saw in my life comes up to me, and he says, hey, man, how do you guys play these guys? I said, I don't know, man. I said, but every time we play them, it's a one-run game. So the guy says, okay, thanks. He walks away from me. Here's Brandon Molina. And we're playing Flash. And we're losing by 3. And we come up in the top of the 7th, and their first baseman says, don't do it to me. Joey Agardo, line drive, but he recovers for the first out. And long story short, we tie the game. So we go to the bottom of the 7th, and of course, Flash's first baseman, don't do it to me. So here's Blake Spurgeon. So he's like, don't do it to me, and I didn't understand what he was talking about. We tie the game, so I guess the line was like 2.5, and they were winning by 3. Heading into the top of the 7th. So once you tie it, high fly ball, Dispenza puts it away out number 2. You know, there's no way to cover. Forest Park doesn't have a fence. You got to hit it, 380 to get it out of there on the diamond we were playing. And so, if you're a bettor, game is pretty much over. And then afterwards, the stranger, Nick Jones, way out of play, comes up to me and he says, I got tickets for you guys to go get beers. I'm like, who are you? What are you talking about? And he says, well, the line was 2.5, and you guys, because they didn't cover, he's like, I won a lot of money. Because back in the day, there was a lot of that going on in 16-inch. So here's Nick Jones, last hope for the fat kids. Ryan Russ is there, and he puts it away. So flashback, after winning the Westchester TOC, the first leg of the Chicago Summer Series, all business today. And this one, as they come back, it was a tight game heading into the 5th at 10-8, and then Flash opened up. So we're going to walk around here. We're going to head to another diamond. You see, that's the one that field 5, and you can just see the massive amount of space we have in this complex. So I don't know who won the shooter high Y game. First time I've been at this complex, but for those of you who are planning on coming out, they've got very clean, big bathrooms out here, which is unusual for a lot of parks. So it's a very comfortable place. What's the score? Inc is winning? Okay. So Inc. is up, and they just won. So Inc. comes out. They've been struggling at Forest Park, and all the games are over. So we'll update Game Changers so you can see the new schedule, and we will take a picture of the bracket, and I'll put that up too. So we hope you enjoyed the coverage, and we're going to be back out here tomorrow. So on behalf of Gold Rush Gaming, SSA Broadcast, this is Gio saying we hope you enjoyed it, and we will talk to you tomorrow.